What's up, guys? Gonna be just kind of doing some stuff in Jita today. I figured I'll kind of live stream a little bit. Haven't did I did some mining this morning, which you've seen with the solo mining episode, but really I'm just kind of like messing around with getting some bits and some ships together and some BPOs and things like that. What's up, Matthew? How you doing? I'm doing all right. Just kind of gonna be messing around in Jita a little bit. Figured I'd turn the live stream on and chat with you guys a little bit. Really, I'm just kind of working on. I'm got the just got the procure fit and ship and all that for probably the next solo mining episode. And I'm just like I talked about in the last episode. I'm working on just securing some BPOs to start researching for the industry stuff we'll be doing. What's up, Red? I used to have a venture BPO way back in the day for building Sino ships. These are really great for early industry because they sell really well, not just to miners, but to people popping industrial Sinos. So this is definitely going to be on our shopping list. I'm pretty sure a procure BPO is going to be expensive as shit. Yeah, 1.5. What's up, Root? It's all good. It's early for me too. I did some mining before reset this morning. Got that got a few trips with the Mackinac in. So I usually like to do that. I usually like to like kind of get the bulk of my mining and stuff done, kind of before or after reset, and then kind of spend the rest of the day kind of working on uh, just smaller stuff. What's up, Cameron? Yeah, I'm doing good. I haven't really done a the last live stream I did for Eve Online was probably like a year ago when I was like porpoise mining, but I did it on Twitch. Um, I haven't really been focusing too much on live streaming lately because my internet connection is not the best. So right now we're doing pretty well, which is nice. But I figured this would be a good opportunity to kind of answer questions or whatever. Also, otherwise, I'm just sitting here in Jita by myself, talking to nobody. I want to get this procure blueprint, but I think I want to wait because we're gonna have to kind of establish some low sec. We're gonna have to get some low sec mining done and some null sec mining done, and kind of stockpile some of that different type of ore before we could really utilize this. I'll probably buy it like later this week, whenever, because I'll probably just have the venture BPO being researched. And then I think I'm planning on doing this one. This one's also got some low sec and null sec mats here too, but this is just going to be good overall. I'm trying to get like a good basis of stuff. Yeah, this is the solo mining tune, the one that's you've seen in the past few episodes doing the uh the stuff. I've really just kind of like started like kind of getting her assets and stuff together, and I've been getting these ships as we've been doing the episodes. I used to sell a lot of ventures actually in nullsec, but not as mining ships. I used to provide them as Sino ships to people.
Means no there has been reports of scammers in the local area.
Pretty much gonna go all these Tech One stuff because like the Tech One stuff is good as well because when we start doing like convention, we can potentially get BPCs to do like the Tech Two stuff, which will be nice. Well, I mean, there's competition everywhere in Eve, Red. The but the thing is like whenever I built like fuel blocks, or whenever I produce like PI in null or Sinoships in null, I was selling to not just like the alliance in that controlled the block, but also just to the corporations that I, had affiliations with. So if they feel a lot better, like, so if they're gonna buy the same thing from like me, or they're gonna import it from Jita, and it's roughly cost them the same. In most cases, those relationships you build with people out there is going. They're gonna lean towards you because they're, it's like a symbiotic thing. Like you're out there doing stuff, making stuff for them, and you do actually, like for me, I was making ventures and Sinoships in nullsec, so I would actually sell at a cheaper price than what they would pay in Jita, because if they pay in Jita and then jump it out, they're going to pay that jump freighter cost, right? So people in nullsec are a lot more inclined to, buy from local manufacturers, because it just saves them the headache of importing stuff, because that stuff kind of runs up in cost. What's up, Electric?
Please note, sleeping in public places not allowed. Personals were found sleeping in public area immediately.
I gotta see what her skills are. I'm pretty sure we gotta get like production stuff done on her, but she's not gonna be able to. I think 4 BPOs is gonna be good for now until she gets her skills up, because she might not have that many slots available. She can do one research job, so we've got to fix that. But I think this is a good basis to start. It's going to be a while before we start doing manufacturing. We still got a lot of stuff to stockpile. Yeah, I mean, I used to put up contracts as well in nullsec, or even like, um, and Sinoships actually sell on contract really well in low sec systems that are like high sec connections, because in most cases, a lot of those low sec, high sec connection systems are going to be almost last jump point. Well, last jump point for a lot of jump freighters before they have to gate. So if you sell like Sinoships in like that last low sec system before high sec, it's easier for that jump freighter player to buy it in that system, because then they don't have to worry about buying it in Jita and then carting it off to you know to low sec. It's like convenience, right? You make a lot of the money that can be made in like null sec, low sec, stuff like that through contracts. You just have to think about it in ways of like making it convenient for people. Now, for me, whenever I'm jump freightering stuff, I do things a little differently. I always carry, like, every time I leave Jita, I try to carry 5 to 10 Sinoships with me. So as I'm going back up my route, I basically just like reseed the route every time I pass through. So I don't have to really ever worry about any one stop running out of a certain Sinoship. And those Sinoships stay unassembled, right? So I don't actually assemble any of those ventures at any of those jump locations, in case like territory changes, or I have to move all that stuff over, because in for a venture sino at least, you have to rig it in order to get the most efficiency. So if you already pre-assembled all those venture sinos, then you potentially lose rigs if you have to move all that stuff. So I usually don't even assemble the sino ship until it's absolutely needed. But in most cases, I don't even lose the sino ship. So it really depends. Like, you might get popped on a station, after the jump freighter gets into the station. But I would say I probably lost maybe 2 venture sinos in the past like 2 years, and that just comes down to like you know getting used to jumping, taking your time, being patient for the most part. I don't really do a whole lot of jumping anymore, because I'm not really operating in nullsec for the most part. It's just I don't know. So here is the proc fit I'm thinking about running for a few days. It's nothing special. We're just going to run mod strips with, simple type A's. And I'm going to run medium core defense extender ones, because the cost for twos on a procurer is just stupid. So this whole fit, it's a little bit slower as far as cycle time for than the Mackinac, but I mean 88 million compared to like 340, 350. It's a lot. It's a lot more, I guess, cost efficient. Yeah, I mean, I've done jump raider video guide before, just showing like how the process works on the test server. The thing about that kind of video is jump raider paths are set up and they're kept relatively secret, just because if the jump raider route that you have becomes well known, then it becomes a potential issue Opsec wise. So any sort of like, the way I would do it is if I actually showed an entire process going from like Jita to like null, it would almost 100% be done on the test server, because there's no way you're gonna like, because it takes so much ISK and so much time to seed a route. Probably wouldn't actually do that on live just for the sake of a video, because then it would just be like almost unusable, because then you'd have viewers camping like certain spots. So I mean, there's potential there to like show the entire process, but it would almost 100% be done on the test server. OPSEC is a huge, huge deal. Yeah, Raven's really good for level fours. It's cheap. What uh, what are you running on it right now? Let me see. I might have my Raven fit up here. I the only thing I didn't copy over whenever I built this new computer was my fits. So yeah, I don't think I have it on here. I think whenever I have a Raven actually fit video on the channel. I'm pretty sure I was using cruise missiles. Let me check. Because I was actually planning to use a Raven for the in the solo alpha series. We just never got to that point. Yeah, I'm using Torps actually. I don't know if this is actually a Raven Omega fit though. Here, I'll put this video link in the chat. But that's kind of the Raven fit. Yeah, the thing about Torps is they have a lot of skills, supporting skills, like not even just like secondary, but like tertiary skills that go into play. So let me see how you. She doesn't have any of them, but also Torps scale really well with implants as well. But the implants can be very expensive. So obviously you want like torpedo spec 5 or as much as you can get. It depends if you're alpha or omega. Torp 1 obviously. Then you want target navigation prediction. This is going to actually help you. This is actually going to help you hit smaller targets for the most part. And then rapid launch is something you want. You want missile projection. And then what else is here? You want missile bombardment as well. And what's the other one? There's a lot. Warhead upgrades as well. And then usually I'm running like Javelin or Rage, but in most cases I'm going to run Rage for whatever damage type. And then target painter. Having a target painter with a missile or a with torp fit is going to help you hit a lot more as well. And target painting actually does stack. So if you can fit like two target painters, you probably have to be faction. You can actually double paint the target for better application. Cruise missiles are good. It's just they have a longer range, so like they're a little bit more specialized for like longer range. You can use Nick. You can use the utility manager. Let's see. If you go to the Nanocom and go to utilities, there is a structure browser. This can sometimes show you compression. So you can go in here to corp-owned facilities. You can select solar system or region, and then you can also filter by reprocessing and things like that. I just go all facilities, and then the it'll actually show an icon for reprocessing out here. So like this, ethanol right here has reprocessing, and it'll show you the tax as well. The tax doesn't matter if it's compression; it's only if it's refining. So if you're out there mining in a system, really all you need is just a structure with reprocessing turned on to compress. And that used to be a big problem because in before we had compression on like Orca and Porpoise, to actually go to a system and mine a lot and compress and hope to get it somewhere else to do manufacturing was a pain, right? There was times where I'd have to like take all the ore in like a bus start or something, take it to another system to compress it to take it to where I wanted to go to manufacture. But now that's why even if you don't plan on boosting or drone mining with like a porpoise, having a porpoise with you is really nice because you can just kind of load it up, go out to a bookmark, siege up for 75 seconds, compress it all, and kind of do that. Which an Orca would be better for that, really, because you could technically fly an Orca to a system, and in the cargo hold, you could have the porpoise. The porpoise will fit exactly in the Orca, but I mean, if you have the Orca, you don't have to worry about it. But you can also fit like a mining barge or exhumer plus like a blockade runner. So for me, if I was going to do something where I didn't have a station with compression, I would take an Orca and then like an exhumer and then like a blockade runner, like a crane. So the Orca would be used to compress all the ore, and then the blockade runner would be essentially to take it to either Jita or to an engineering complex to refine it and process it or to manufacture with it. A lot of logistics when it gets into that kind of stuff. Yeah, the that video for the Raven, I can't remember if that is spec for Omega or Alpha. I'm thinking, considering the what I saw on the fit, I think it might be Omega fit, but you can just adjust it if you're still Alpha. But it'll work perfectly fine. It's a hell of a lot cheaper of an option than running like a Golem or something for level fours. But Marauders are absolutely amazing in terms of level four missions. Like that's why I love Marauders because they just kind of can get on grid and just plant, go Bastion, and just take care of business. Micro jump drives, yeah. I mean, really, it's just I don't really have that much of a problem when I'm mining out there by myself with ganks and stuff like that. But it's just yeah, reading the room essentially or reading the system is important. I think like not in episode 21, I had some comrades come on grid, a couple of times. I mean, I don't think you really want to gank in a Comaron. I think if you're going to gank in a destroyer, it'd be a catalyst. But it's just stuff like that. You gotta like just kind of like if people are being nosy at the belt, or if you see a lot of change in local, checking D scan, seeing what is on D scan. I mean, it's context clues really. And in that case, I did come off grid long enough to just kind of figure out what people were doing. But really, those comrades were just being obnoxious. Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, because the thing about we're talking about reprocessing and like NPC structures, it's expensive. The tax rate is ridiculous. So 100% if you and it also depends on how they rig it because there you have to be kind of careful too because there are player owned structures that can just have high repros tax or you know that's why that utility browser is really nice because it can show you and you can go to the info on the structure as well. So if you go to the structure and go to show info and go to services, it'll tell you as well. But you just gotta be careful not to like reprocess something with like 100% tax rate or something because those structures do exist. I've already put together my Orca fit. It's crazy how Orcas are so expensive now. I think my fit came out to be like two fit and hull and everything was like 2.4. I bought my first Orca several years ago, and I think for the entire thing, fit and all, I think I spent like 1.1. It's just ridiculous how much prices have increased for everything. Even the Mackinac, I was kind of surprised that my Mackinac fit was like 350. It was more than my Porpoise. Uh, I mean, for normal freighters in high sec, they're fine, but they're also a huge target if you're kind of trying to take stuff all the way to Jita. Um, and there's not a whole lot of fit options you can do for them. The reason I tell people just to like kind of buckle down and kind of go into jump raider because jump raiders just have a lot more EHP. And there's even been situations in like when I'm just transporting goods between like high sec system to high sec system with a jump raider, I can have like a Sino in a low sec system, like an unpopulated, very low whatever low sec system. And if you do get in trouble, you could technically just jump out of a situation, but those are expensive, right? As far as trucking goes, like the freighters are fine. It's just I don't know. I don't prefer using them because they're squishy and stuff. Really, it's about having good. You want to have your evasive maneuvering skill at 5. You want to do everything you possibly can to get that align time down as much as possible, and then also just have all of the basic like shield skills because like the Charon's going to be shield tanked, and the I think the obelisk is armor tanked. So you want to have like all that stuff kind of working for you because like it's better. It's you'd if you have to lose a freighter, it's better to lose it because you had all the skills you could possibly have rather than not, right? Because sometimes that makes a big difference. Rorqual, yeah. I mean, for I'm surprised the Rorqual still is as expensive as it is. But the reason the Rorqual has kind of held its value is because it's used for a lot of things other than just like a mining command ship in terms of like moving stuff around. I mean, hell, I had a Rorqual in nullsec before I sold it for a year that I never took to a mining grid. It was just used to like transport assembled ships and like compressed ore and stuff like that because you can have a jump freighter to move like stuff around in nullsec, but like you can't put assembled ships inside of a jump freighter. So in terms of like not if you don't want to lose the rigs that are on your mining ships, having a Rorqual, putting all those mining ships in the maintenance bay and jumping them and moving them around, it kind of makes things so much easier. Another thing you can do too with jump raiders is you could actually use the web trick as well. But I'm pretty sure webbing in high sec gets you get you suspect timer. But webbing a freighter can allow you to warp off a lot quicker as well. So you'll hear of a lot of jump freighter pilots and stuff having alts that literally just follow them from gate to gate with a webifier, and they do that trick. I mean, yeah. I'm looking at your message read about the golem. I don't even. I have to bring up my main, but I don't remember what my golem DPS was. All the marauders are pretty good. It really kind of just depends on how your skills are for your weapon system, because once you commit to kind of like one type of weapon system and you get all the secondary and tertiary skills for that, or if like you're primarily skilled into like shield tanking. So I guess for me, the reason I went into golem was because I was historically more Caldari based because of Alliance doctrine and stuff like that. So I had a lot of shield skills. I had a lot of missile skills already just from like running Caracal and things like that. So I was closer to being a max skilled Golem pilot at the time when I started training for Marauder than any other ship. And also, you use a certain weapon system after a while, you get really used to how it kind of how you get better at those type of things. I've never ever owned a bowhead ever, and it's one of those things. It's like I never been able to really justify it. I mean, it's basically used to move assembled ships around and has no other value than that. But the thing about the bowhead is the bowhead can't jump. See, you wouldn't use a bowhead in nullsec because you'd have to go through jump gates to get where you're going. The benefit of moving assembled ships with a Rorqual in nullsec is because you can basically just use a Sino and jump it, and it has one of the longest ranges. Has the same jump range as like a jump freighter does, in which those two ships have the highest distance. That's the biggest takeaway. Is like in nullsec, whenever you're moving anything, you want jump drives. Yeah, I mean, well, jump raiders, if you're going to move ships, you have to disassemble them and stuff like that. But that's why I ended up, using like a Tengu or whatever for a lot of low end ratting and stuff like that, because there's no penalty for repackaging a Tengu, because you don't lose rigs when you repackage it. So, but like for the Golem can have some pretty expensive rigs on it. So, you know, and you can't put a Golem in a Rorqual. So that's where having like carrier suitcases come in. So at the height of my establishment in nullsec, the I'd have a Thani, which is basically a Galante carrier. The Thani basically has all of the combat assembled ships in it that I didn't want to lose rigs for. So that's your the Golem and stuff like that. And then the Rorqual basically would handle all of the mining ships and stuff like that. And interestingly enough, if you want to move, you can actually move both the Thani and a Rorqual at this within the same Sino window, but you can only do it in one way. You have to actually jump the Rorqual first because it gives you less jump fatigue, and then you have to jump the Thani next. If you jump the Thani first, you get too much jump fatigue, and you won't be able to actually go back to your station, get in the Rorqual, and use the same Sino. It's just some random knowledge. But yeah, there's you use a dread for it as well. This was before I kind of stopped using combat suitcases once I got a dread, but a phoenix is great as well for carrying a golem around if you're kind of, because we used to have like multiple systems that we would operate in nullsec. So we'd have like a dedicated ratting system. We'd have a dedicated like mining home system. So those were situations where like I would just, if I was gonna go rat for like a day, I would just throw like the golem into like the dread, pop the dread over that system, and do my thing. And then when I was done, I would jump back. Obviously, you want to make sure you have something to dock the dread or the Rorqual in your target system. You don't want to leave it in space. But yeah, logistics in nullsec can get pretty crazy. But even just for like doing moon mine ops in different systems with like the Rorqual, conduit jumping those uh, those mining fleets is super easy as well. But in most cases, you'll pre-stage before the frac the day before, so it's not like you have a whole lot of time crunch. There's not a whole lot of pressure. We used to actually like move all of our moon mining ships like 12 hours prior to the frac, so we could log in at reset and kind of just start working on it. Well, I mean, back when I first started playing and I wanted to like get into the bigger ships, yeah, I mean, I played a lot. I got into the carrier. I liked the Galante, the Thani, just because I don't know, it had a little bit better bonuses in terms of fighters. But after a while, it just felt because if you go into like so let's say for instance you're in like Garista space and like the best thing you can run is like dragonflies. So those are dragonfly twos are really expensive, and if you're running like doing like carrier routing in like havens or sanctums, you actually get to the point where like losing a single dragonfly two almost cancels out all the ESQ earned from bounties from a haven or sanctum. So then you're like, okay, well, we'll just go down to like using Tech 1 fighters, but then like, the fall off in damage is so great. Once I got into Marauder, I stopped actually using carriers for routing pretty much immediately because a golem is just so it can just face roll pretty much every PV type content in nullsec. Even like the maze, like those 10 of 10 DED sites, takes a little bit of a specialized fit, and the fit is expensive. But I mean, the golem can run that stuff solo, and like you can't even get into that with a carrier. I mean, that's gated. A lot of that stuff, a lot of those DED sites, you can't even do with a carrier because they're all gated. So it became pretty clear that the Marauder was like kind of king of the ratting out there, and the carrier went from like you being used for ratting to basically just being used to carry the golem around. Yeah, bowhead be for like for high sec. I would never use bowhead in null sec. That would be like really bad. I try not to gate anything in null sec. Not because I don't really ever get into any problems. It's just bad practice, right? It's like drawing attention to yourself. It's like if you have a lot of people who are using jump gates very frequently in certain areas, and people start to get wind that like, oh well, these people, this group of people use jump gates a lot, so let's go camp those gates. Like you kind of set a precedence. So that's why a lot of corporations will either have a jump raider service to help their members move stuff not using jump gates, because that's another thing you have to worry about too. Is you don't want to have to worry about like setting this precedent that this system is great for doing weird shit and getting blown up. A lot of what I feel like about Eve right now is just like I went all the way up to the very very top and was doing a lot of the high end stuff, and then after doing that for a while, it just for me I just like wanted to go back to basics essentially. Like I used to run a Rorqual with like 7 Hulks doing ice mining, and then ice took a hit when they messed with all that, and I was like, you know what, I think I just want to like go back and just simplify it, like maybe run only like 2 alts, like a main and 1 alt, and just not have to worry about all that craziness. Yeah, I mean, and regular freighters are, in comparison to jump freighters, regular freighters are a lot easier to replace ISK wise. It's just they are very paper tanked for the most part. And for me, I wouldn't even actually use one. I would actually prefer, let's say I'm moving like compressed ore. So, you could, what's the share on max skills? Like 1.1 million M3 if you have expanded cargo holds. So I would rather actually take multiple trips in like a blockade runner to get the ore where it needs to go than risk putting the entire, compressed ore thing in a jump raider and hope to get there. Hell, I'd even use like a bustard or something even then. Put like a bustard with like, warp stab or like, inert dampeners or stabilizer or something, right? I would, but I guess like moral story is I'd rather take multiple trips and and have a more of a guarantee I get my stuff where it needs to go than do one trip and be really shady along the way. That's the other thing. We have deep space transports. They have like a fleet hangar, which is very very nifty. You can use that for a lot of things, and like even in high sec, using like a bustard to, let's say you don't have a command ship and you're just running out there, you're just mining in a let's say a Mackinac or something. You could have an alt that's in a bustard fly out to your Mackinac. The Mackinac opens up the fleet hangar, drops all the ore in there, and then the bustard takes off. No need to jet can at all. No need to put anything out into space. You can literally just transfer it all through the fleet window, the fleet hangar. Yeah, because like blockade runners annoy people because they can't be cargo scanned and things like that. But they have to be pretty damn quick. If you're doing it right, like essentially what I do is the second I go to my bookmark and I hit dock, the second I hit it, I go back into cloak. So they have that window between when I click the actual bookmark and come out of gate cloak to when my covert cloak is established to lock me. So they already have to be a fast lock spec and also have people on the ground to blow me up because I'm just gonna like my fit for the crane actually is all EM amp. Here, let me pull that up. I think I got it over here. This is what I normally run right here. And I'll change these out depending, like if I'm using all 12,582 cubic meters, then I'll have the expanded cargo holds. But if I don't have to have all that, I'll put inert stabilizer twos on. But really, it's just all EM amp twos just to fill that hole. Because without these EM amps, you have effectively zero EM shield resistance, which is bad because that's what they're going to target. They're going to assume people running blockade runner, at least crane, is going to have zero EM. So they're going to try to target EM damage. So I fill that hole there. And then just everything else is just a line time and stuff. So let's say we drag all these expanded cargo holds off. So even with this, and you want like evasive maneuvering 5 and all that, it's like 5 seconds right there. It's still possible to be killed, but they have you give them a very small window as possible. I mean, I'm kind of Caldari fanboy, so as far as deep space transport, Bustard, but I don't know. I've kind of adjusted my way of play to fit like the blockade runner for the most part. Um, but like I would use a bustard locally. Like I probably wouldn't gate it. So if you are in a situation where you need to like go empty out a ship, like a mining barge or something, bustard will work fine. Or any of the deep space transports from the factions. As far as like moving gates, I feel more comfortable with the blockade runner in almost all situations. Yeah, it just comes down to like all your like supporting skills for that too. It's like any ship that I fly, I try to maximize it with skills. So if you're running anything like that's armor tank that has more mid slots, like let's say like an Amar or a Galante DST, then you're gonna want that armor stuff. You're gonna want the mechanics, and you're gonna want all that stuff to help you out, armor layering or whatever the case may be. Actually, no, though they'd have more lows, but like more mids would give you like more room for buffer tank or something like that. Because really, in the terms of like a blockade runner, you can run like a nerd stab on it too, but it's like they're going to get maybe 1 or 2 seconds of damage before if you're able to warp, they're going to get about 1 or 2 seconds to get you. So it's like having enough resistance to survive, long enough. I mean, obviously, everything dies with numbers. They could literally have 100 people sitting there, and they're going to get you. But it's just you kind of roll that dice. I used to use IS Boxer for Diablo 3 multi boxing, but I don't use it for Eve. Even when I was running like 7 alts with Oracle, I was just using client switcher. I tried Evo preview, but the fact that like I can't get like full FPS on the previews for what I was doing just kind of made it annoying. I think in a perfect world, I would just have like a 6 monitor setup and then just hurt my neck playing by looking around violently. I usually just have all my clients on one monitor stacked, and then I just have them all cycled through with one keystroke. And then I just match all of their UIs, and it just that's how I've done it for years, and that's just kind of how I'm used to it. That's a big thing too, is like graphics cards as well. I mean, I built this PC about a month or two ago with the intention of actually eventually going 4090 with it, but I'm waiting because like graphics cards are weird right now. 4090s got a lot of issues, uh, and I'm running a 3060 Ti, but 3060 Ti will run 6 accounts no problem. Now running 12 accounts, it kind of has a little bit of a problem. It comes down to like a VRAM issue. The more VRAM you can get, the better. So yeah, it's good morning as well. I don't know what I've got going on today. I know I've got like I'm gonna go watch Fast 10 later at like 1 or so, so in like a few hours. So that's why I tried to get the mining episode done early today because I'm gonna go watch that movie with the wife. Apparently, they're making the last part of Fast and Furious is going to be a trilogy. So there's what's going to be like Fast 10, Fast 10.2, and Fast 10.3. I don't know how they're going to do that, but I mean, I guess what is it going to be like 13 or 12 movies overall? I mean, that's crazy for like any franchise to have 12 installments. But I think this one's got what Aquaman in it. What's his name? Jason Momoa. It's just kind of like a tradition of me and my wife. We just like watch Fast and the Furious. It's kind of like a thing. It's just I think when it comes to like gating like a bustard, you just have to understand the limitations and understand you have to understand the tools and the limitations on both sides. So it's like, for instance, a lot of people who think about venture mining and low sec as a new player are very weary of that. But then if you are like a new player and you go into PvP and you go into low sec and you try to kill a venture, it's really difficult until you learn what the tools that the venture has and what the limitations you have. So it's like perspective, right? And then once you actually know like what these ventures are doing to like evade, most all single one-on-one kills, then you go and you fit the venture with like a a warp core stabilizer, and you're like, sweet, Kernite for days. And it's the same thing with like a bustard. It's like knowing what the bustard's capable of and knowing what it takes to kill a bustard or catch one. It's all about getting the full picture that helps you kind of, I don't know, survive, I guess. Another thing I've recommended for people as well is actually placing a bookmark above Jita 44, because in most cases, on most all normal trade routes, you're going to come straight into the side, one of the sides of Jita, where a lot of like battleships and all that stuff are kind of like staged out. But if you come into the gate in Jita and you have a bookmark above the actual structure and you're coming at an angle, you're not going to hit like where a lot of normal people are going to be sitting waiting to like cargo scan and pop. So you can actually just basically warp up to the top of the structure and then dock from up there. That actually works with just normal structures anywhere, having just kind of a because anytime you go from like a gate to a structure, that's a known path, right? So avoiding that at all costs will help you. Sure. PC requirements for Star Citizen are crazy, but I'll try to my best to answer. It actually, well, I actually don't do too bad with Star Citizen right now, but I'm also running like a 13900K, so I'm basically GPU bound when it comes to Star Citizen, just because I'm running a 3060 Ti. But it really comes down. Star Citizen really comes down to like a good balance of both GPU and CPU, because when you're in space in Star Citizen, it's extremely like CPU intensive. And then when you're in stations inside interiors, it's like GPU intensive because there's more things being rendered at closer proximity. How's everybody feeling about the new Viridian expansion? I know we haven't heard a whole lot about it right now, other than like the visual updates. I kind of expect to hear something before the end of the month about the socially driven content that they keep talking about. I'm a I kind of don't play well with others. I mean, I don't really like play with a whole lot of people anymore. I kind of just do my own thing. So when I hear socially driven content, I think, huh, probably not for me. Yeah, whenever Faction Dreads came out, I was like, I was not impressed. But yeah, T2 Dreads, I think what they might actually be doing T2 carriers too. I don't know. I know they've talked about like just T2 capitals, but like Danny T2, I mean, it would have to be pretty damn good for me to go back to carrier ratting or doing stuff in carriers other than carrying my golem around. Yeah, I mean, that's probably like the biggest thing that got me was because I've spent so much time in Bastion, and now I just get more, give me some RGB on the golem, I'll be good. You know, let me customize. I think the actual lights on it are based on the skin you have applied, but it would be kind of cool if you could actually customize lighting independent of what your skin is. But I'm that's you know kind of a niche thing. It's like let me like for real. Let me have my RGB golem. You'd be able to see me from Jita. I kind of wish they'd give us the fourth subsystem on Tengus and shit like that, because I think that was originally talked about whenever that stuff came out, that they were gonna eventually allow four subsystems, but here we are, still no fourth. I love the Tengu. Like whenever it came down to like for my nullsec income, I don't know if you guys watched the solo Omega series I did, but I essentially survived and made billions every month by having just a buzzard for exploration and or Sino if needed, a Tengu for essentially anything lower than a Haven, and then a Golem for basically everything else. And then I think I had like a skiff to do like random Mercoxis mining, and then a crane to do like PI. All of that. That's not a whole lot of ships to do all that crazy stuff. Yeah, 1 gig of video RAM is not doing it anymore. Even 8 gigs of we're getting to the point now with games that, not even talking about high settings, but like game utilization for VRAM is exceeding like 8 gigs at this point. And that's one of the biggest problems with like the new 4060 Ti that's been released is like, I mean, a lot of like games like Returnal and like even like Control and stuff like that. All these games and like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, these things are like eating up over 8 gigs. And like if you on a lot of the older cards, if you don't have enough VRAM, it might not even dip into your system RAM, so you'd have to just lower settings. On the newer cards, like 30 series, I think like 30 series NVIDIA and 40 series, if you don't have enough VRAM, it'll dip into your system memory because I think they call it like striping or something. But I don't know. It's just any card that comes out now with like 8 gigs of VRAM is just, I don't know, not worth it. I mean, for as far as future proof goes, I mean, I have a 3060 Ti with 8 gigs, and that's my only limitation if I'm running any sort of like multi-box situation. For Eve, it does fine. I do ultra settings, ultra wide. I can do 6 accounts, but a seventh account runs really, really close to the line because of literally just the VRAM. Yeah, like Jedi Survivor is like averages well 10 gig VRAM, because it's like we have so many GPUs right now that like they range from like 8 to 12 to 16 to 24, and these game developers are trying to like split the difference. But then like I understand that like the 4060 Ti is coming out in a 16 gig variant, but I don't know if you guys have watched like the reviews on this 4060 Ti, but it's like not even that much better than like a 3060 Ti at and it's if you're actually in a situation where you're running like a 10 series or something like that and you need to upgrade, it's almost better just to go to like the 3060 Ti and just stay away from the 4060 because like the generational scaling is just not there. My intention when I built my PC a couple months ago was I didn't have any sort of like spare graphics card laying around, or else I wouldn't even have bought one. But I bought the 3060 Ti as a placeholder until either the price came down or we saw a 4090 Ti. But I think that we're probably not going to see a 4090 Ti. I think we'll probably see an RTX Titan, which is what I've heard. But I'm kind of waiting for Nvidia just to like get their head out of their ass for the most part. So, because my project, once I get my graphics card in, whether it be a 4090 or whatever comes after, my next project beyond that is to actually water cool. But I'm not going to do that until it's actually like I've actually got the graphics card that I actually want. But I've had no problems with the 3060 Ti. I mean, like I even like with newer stuff. Like I mean, I don't play a whole lot of newer games. Probably the newest game I've played in most recent history is probably Diablo 4. But even Diablo 4 running at like max settings on a 3060 Ti is perfectly fine. Also, I'm just like waiting to do like I need to go up to like I want to go up to actually just 4K. But the thing about that is like basically to get decent 4K performance, it takes two things. It takes a 4090 and a good 4K monitor with a high refresh rate, like minimum like 144 hertz. And those 4K monitors are not cheap. That's like my next big thing for the channel. Is like I want to get to the point where I'm doing everything in 4K. I've been stuck in like 1080p hell for like 8 years. I don't know. It's like this year has really been got a lot of stuff going on. It's like June is like Diablo 4, Viridian, and then September is Starfield, which yeah, I'll be playing Starfield, so you know that's going to be a thing. And then like City Skylines is like one of my other guilty pleasures. The second one's coming out at some point, probably Q4 this year. There's no release date on it yet. I think well I don't think it's considered warp visuals, but like the gate warp visual was done like what, a year ago. Remember when the update for the warp sound came out and every ship sounds the same? I think it's still that way. I didn't notice it until I like warped off in like my golem one day. I'm like, oh, this thing sounds amazing. But then I like got an adventure and it sounded the same. I'm like, well, that's disappointing. There could be a little bit more, sound fidelity with different hull types. At least maybe like classify the sound based on like mass or something. But a venture sounding the same as going into warp as a golem seems a little. It kind of disconnects my immersion. Yeah, every nation or like every like size class ship. I don't know something. I wouldn't worry too much about like specing your system right now for Star Citizen. I mean, I know I've seen a lot of like them pushing like ads and stuff on YouTube, and it seems like it looks like it's going like live soon. But I think the last official date I saw for Star Citizen actually releasing officially was like 2027. So I'm specking for things like Starfield and multi account like Eve and Diablo 4 and stuff like that. Damn, 50 jumps. Whoo. I think the most I've ever jumped an orca. I This was like one of my personal crowning achievements, but I essentially jumped an orca from Jita all the way to drone lands. It was like 48 jumps every through low sec through a known gate camp. I got there by some miracle. We had some close calls, but I don't know. It's just one of those crazy things that you never want to actually do in real life. But there's the other trick too. Is like if you want to get an orca out to like nullsec, you can just like use filaments. I've known a lot of people do that. They'll just load up a bunch of filaments, put a prototype cloak on, and then hope they get close to where they're going. I don't have the patience for that. Anyway, guys, I gotta go do some stuff around the house. I appreciate you guys coming in and keeping me company while I've been doing random crap in Jita. I'm gonna try to get a I don't know. I think we'll take this Procure out for the next solo mining episode and things. But I'm also probably gonna like try to take the. Be kind of itching to play the Golem. I might take the Golem out here in the next couple of days and kill some rats. I'm really kind of excited to get this industry stuff kind of popping and everything. But I'll try to do a few more live streams, stuff like that. I'll be live streaming a lot at the beginning of June for Diablo 4, but I'm gonna try to like kind of interlace some Eve stuff in there as well as I can. Yeah, just go to the channel and go to the video tab and just type in Golem. I think they have like 2 or 3 videos for it. Let me see. Yeah, I got like 3 videos. I got one just showing like Torp Golem on certain DED sites, and then I have a solo PvE Golem. I might update it. It's been a while since that video went live, but not a lot has changed with my fit. But I'll try to, I'll look at it later and see if I need to update that video. I'll try to put something new out.